Today, I will tell you a part of my life. What did my husband say after our divorce?
My wife, Princess Fawzia, was personable and cheerful, and she was a woman of polished culture who spoke French, Italian, Spanish, Portuguese, English, German, Greek, Russian, and Turkish fluently. Meanwhile, my siblings and I only mastered Persian, English, and French. After only 10 months of our marriage, Fawzia managed to learn the Persian language, although she spoke it with a very endearing French accent. Fawzia was captivatingly beautiful. If Botticelli had wanted to paint a portrait of Venus again, he would not have found features more beautiful than hers. She had eyes in which green and blue fantastically allied, and she possessed a heart-shaped face with delicate and pleasant features. When Fawzia came from Cairo to Tehran, it was as if one had moved from Paris to a small, remote village. Cairo was a cosmopolitan city with many diverse delights of activity and culture, whereas Tehran, in comparison to Cairo, was a forgotten city. Fawzia came and brought with her the winds of change. The women of the Shah's court were stunned by the beauty and elegance of the Egyptian newcomer. Fawzia created a state of subtle competition among them to keep up with her fashion, perfumes, and jewelry in order to be as beautiful and elegant as she was. But all their attempts failed.
My husband's mother was in constant conflict with me, and as you have read, one of the Shah's sisters broke a vase over my head. But the greatest reason was Muhammad Rida's relationships with other women and his neglect of me. And here is a testimony from a woman in the Pahlavi family. Ashraf Pahlavi is the twin sister of the Shah of Iran, Muhammad Rida Pahlavi, the last Shah to rule Iran before the Islamic Revolution in 1979. She passed away in Monaco. Ashraf Pahlavi was my friend. Ashraf said this about me.
She possessed a legendary, unparalleled beauty. She was also highly cultured, speaking French, English, Italian, and Turkish in addition to Arabic. We communicated with her in French until she mastered Persian. She adored classical music and opera performances, and she was skilled at playing the piano and drawing with charcoal. I would see astonishment in the eyes of the court's men when they saw Fawzia at palace parties due to her captivating beauty and extreme elegance. Even the women of the court looked at her with intense admiration, something my brother's later wives, Soraya and Farah, never received.
I returned to Egypt in 1945. The Egyptian courts ruled for my divorce from the Shah in the summer of 1945, while the Iran refused to recognize it, as the Shah was surprised by my desire for a divorce. Because he still loved me, he refused the divorce and set many conditions as pressure for me to return to Iran. Perhaps the most prominent was keeping our only daughter, Princess Shahnaz, under his custody in Iran, in addition to many other conditions the Shah imposed to pressure me. Therefore, the divorce negotiations lasting for more than 3 years until it was finally announced in November 1948, the same day Queen Farida's divorce from King Farouk was announced. During the years of negotiation, many things happened that remained secret and some that came to light, including the story of the Black Ring. This ring originally belonged to Emperor Reza Pahlavi, the founder of the Pahlavi state and the father of Muhammad Reza Shah Pahlavi. His father wore it on his finger during a great battle he won against the Russians. He was a young officer at the time and returned from the battle heading to Tehran, sick with a fever. He felt thirsty on the way and found no water, so his companions brought him watermelon to quench his thirst. When he returned to Tehran, he couldn't find the black ring. The Shah's father did nothing less than order his soldiers to go to the place where he ate the watermelon and sift the sand until they found the ring. This is why it was so important to the Shah of Iran. Although the Shah had many luxurious and expensive jewels, this ring held great value for him, as his father had gifted it to him, and he in turn gifted it to me. I was the only one of my Shah's subsequent wives to receive this ring.
And although the Shah agreed to let me take all my belongings, clothes, and jewelry, and even agreed to relinquish all the jewelry he had gifted me during our marriage, he would not part with the black ring. In fact, getting the ring back was one of his main conditions for accepting the divorce. When I learned of the Shah's insistence on its return, I sent it to him with a letter that said, "Your Imperial Majesty, I fully understand the noble feeling that moved you to give me this ring, and because I know its historical and spiritual value to you, keep it with you. It is one of the relics of your dear father, who also cared for me, and I will never forget his affection for me." Signed, Fawzia Fuad. The Shah announced the divorce after he despaired of my return in November 1948. The newspapers there claimed the reason was my inability to bear male heirs. The response from the press in Egypt was that the Shah was sexually impotent. 5 months after the divorce was announced, the newspapers in Egypt published, "Princess Fawzia Fuad smiles for the camera," following her marriage to Ismail Chirine, an officer in the Egyptian army who participated in the Palestine War as a liaison officer and was part of the Egyptian delegation at the 1949 Rhodes Agreement. After the war ended and he returned to Egypt, our marriage was contracted at the Quba Palace on March 28, 1949. The wedding was limited only to the marriage ceremony and a photo session for the couple, out of consideration for the region's situation.
This, of course, was the opposite of my first marriage. That was a political marriage to the Emperor of Iran, Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, which the press described as 1,001 nights celebration. It ended in divorce at my request after long divorce negotiations between the two countries that lasted for nearly 3.5 years, which began upon my return. Ironically, both the first and second marriages took place in March. As for my second marriage, which was for love, it lasted for 45 years, until the death of Colonel Ismail Chirine in 1994. During it, I gave birth to my daughter Nadia, born in Cairo in 1950, died in 2009, and Hussein, born in Alexandria in 1955, died in 2016. The press in Iran mentioned nothing about it. I had a daughter from the Shah, Shahnaz Pahlavi, who accompanied me on my visit to Egypt in 1942. After the divorce, I was forbidden from seeing her until she got married.